I'm Leathur Rokk. Welcome to my channel. Today, let's talk about what happens if you have a dog or a cat and you run out of pet food. Let me set up the situation for you. One of my neighbors who had $10 set aside to feed his puppy and his kitten. And one of his buddies hit him up for $10, and he told the guy, he says, look, this is the money that I have to feed my animals. And this was 2 days ago, and the guy that he lent the money to just got hired at one of the casinos, got a nice security guard job, okay? And he's also involved in this circuit of cheap preachers around here, okay? So the guy owes this friend of mine $10, and so my friend now ran out of animal food. So, and of course, I have no money to give anybody for anything because I got to go to LA and take care of business before I can come back here and all that stuff. So really, and I remember the last time I lent out money, how long it took for me to get it back. And I also remember a certain person who I lent money to. It's been 3 years now, and he says, I'm never going to get it back, so please don't hit me up for money. So, but what happens when you don't have food and you got a dog and a cat? So I told him, let me go in my kitchen, go in my fridge, and let me rustle up you something. Because most people have food in their refrigerators that you can give to your dog or cat. So if you find yourself in an emergency where you ran out of food, now this is not going to apply if you have specific diets that you have from your veterinarian and you have special food. I am not a veterinarian. I'm not a nutritionist. Where my knowledge comes from, besides having cats for years and besides having some basic knowledge of occult and medicinal herbalism, and I've been an organic gardener since my late childhood. So those are my qualifications on this and an obvious interest in the subject. So now, one of the things, first of all, let me tell you what I gave him for his animals. I had a takeout plate. They had some plain brown rice in it, which is something that is okay for both dogs and cats in limited quantities. You notice that in pet food, oftentimes there is some kind of a grain included. It is often brown rice. Now, there is such a thing as grain-free, and it all depends. Some people are very, very specific with avoiding anything but strictly meat for their animals, and obviously, in this case, emergency, what I am telling you what I did won't apply. But I'm just telling you what I did. It was about a cup or so of rice. I figured he could divvy it between the animals. And it was a pile of what looked like that canned salmon. Like, there's a lower cost brand that they've been distributing a lot to some food banks and things. And the thing is, it doesn't taste quite as good fresh out of the can as other more nationwide brands go. But you know what? If you make them into salmon cakes, they taste like any kind of salmon. But for all intents and purposes, this is plain, out of the can meat. Now, you want to try to avoid salt and spices as much as possible. And of course, there's certain things that are absolute no-nos for dogs and cats, which include grapes, raisins, currants. They say don't give them bacon, sausage, or hot dogs, but who among us, if you don't have anything else? I have picked hot dogs out of the trash to give starving street animals, and even my own when I ran out. So you know what? But you don't make a diet of it because they're full of preservatives and fats and salts and things that are unnecessary for animals, and it could cause them to have indigestion, heartburn. Think of how you would feel if you go from your normal kind of range of diet and you eat something that's really, really heavy, really fatty, really salty. Some people have adverse effects from that. I'm pretty good as far as I seem to be able to get away with eating almost anything I like, even though now I realize I got to lose a couple pounds because, you know, eating all that junk food is not good for anybody, but you especially don't want to give it to your companion animals. And other things to avoid are things like onion, garlic, and also, believe it or not, most dogs and cats, once they are a certain age, they are lactose intolerant. So you don't want to give them milk and cream and stuff, even though dogs and cats seem to love cheese. Now, I don't usually encourage cats to eat cheese just because I don't want cheese breath when I am loving on my animals. But dogs and cats love cheese, and if you notice, a lot of the cat treats and cat food and dog food, it is an ingredient. So cheese seems to be okay, but anything spicy, if you're making, if you want to make, try your hand at making food for your animal, here are some ideas. Take some plain chicken, boil it, take the skin off it, take the bones off it, or at least actually, I could guess you could cook it with the bones, but take the fat off of it, or take the fat, the skin, and save it for later. Boil it. Get about a cup of that, plain, unsalted, unflavored. Don't add seasonings to it. Don't add herbs to it. Even kitchen herbs, by the way, have volatile organic compounds, and they can cause problems for. Okay, the traffic, they'll go soon. So, other things you can do, you can give them, for cats, you can give them up to a quarter cup of cooked, steamed, unsalted broccoli. Steam that and mash it. You can also cut up sweet potatoes, mash them, dogs and cats, a little bit of that's fine in your diet. Peas and carrots seem to be fine for dogs and cats, though I noticed when I had cat food, they had whole peas in it. For my cats, they left the whole peas there. They didn't eat them, but if I mashed them up and incorporated them in the food, they were fine. Peas are good for cats. You can steam, I'm reading I took notes on this trying to read my writing. Oh, you can steam and mash carrots, and you can add a little bit of chicken broth, preferably unsalted, without a bunch of extra fat, just enough to moisten it. Mash that all together, but cats need meat. Dogs need meat. And the thing is, you really need to go back to getting cat food as soon as possible, because real cat food has ingredients that cats cannot manufacture through their own bodies. You have something called taurine, which is specifically added to cat food, and you need to actually read the label and make sure that the cats are getting the nutrition that you're hoping they're getting. Because cats can die if you don't give them vitamins and they have certain vitamin deficiency. Just like if you try to deprive cats of meat, they're obligate carnivores. They need to eat meat. And we don't want to kill our animals. We love them. But please do try to get real dog and cat food for your cats. But if you can't, in a pinch, you can get stuff from your fridge, or open up things, or even cook for your dogs and cats, because they need to eat. Oh, and think twice about lending money out to people, because it rarely ends well. Okay, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.